Good afternoon, everybody. Joanne Woods-Young here, welcoming you back to the Good View. We took a summer break and we are so happy to be back. I hope you had a wonderful summer. Thank you so much for joining us again today. We have Dr. Mary. She's back from her summer break as well. And today's guest is Mark Ferreira. We're going to talk to him about his work at the Salvation Army and a few other things today. So please join us with that. But we're going to start off, as we always do, with our gratitude. So I'd like to start by saying, well, I'm going to ask Mary to start today with her gratitude. So as you know, at home we encourage you to do the same. If you want to write it down or just think about it in your mind, what are you grateful for today? Because having an attitude of gratitude is a way to shift your mindset and bring more of what you love into your life. So, Dr. Mary, what are you grateful for today?
Hello, everybody. I never thought I'd be saying this because I hated to see summer go and put the cover on my pool. But I truly am grateful for a schedule. I think it's better for me in my life. It's better for my daughter. My 15-year-old acknowledged that having a schedule was really helpful for her. So yeah. I like the organizational piece. I think it's good.
I guess that's my turn.
Yeah. Right ahead, Mark.
Okay. No, I can tack on to that. The school year has begun. And for my little first grader at home, that's a big deal. It's back into the routine. It was a shock for him to discover that his kindergarten teacher wasn't going to be his teacher forever. But he's settling in, and we're excited. We got open house tomorrow night at his school, and so we're just glad for the new things that he's experiencing as he progresses.
That's great. Excellent. Good. I think I'm going to follow those same lines because it's been, being off your routine in the summertime is great in many ways, but it's also bad in some ways. I got off the exercise routine, I got off the eating well routine, so I'm grateful. I just had a week away last week to get back on track with my health, and I'm so grateful for that week that I got to go back into a routine schedule, which put me back on track. So hopefully, audience, you are feeling the same way, and maybe routine and schedule is good for you too. So Mary and I, we have had this show going since November of last year, 2016. Yeah, and we just want to talk today about what our mission is, why we even do this show, and why we ask you to watch it. So Mary, if you want to just begin with that.
Sure. Coming over here, I was really thinking about it, and I said, well, for me, it's fun to do the show. And I think because Joanne and I both belong in Toastmasters, and it gives us an opportunity to, develop our public speaking skills. But we're happy to share information. We're happy to bring people on like Mark and teach the audience new things and maybe things that people have never heard before, or just to show people successes and what they're doing in their life. So it's a good thing. It's a feel-good show where we want to bring out positivity and just let you know what's going on that's positive in the world, because as we all know, there's a lot of negative in the world, and this is just our way to give back.
Yeah, very well said, exactly. We want you to know that there's always a good view. That's why we call it the good view. There's always good in the world. Even when it looks like there's always only darkness, there's still light, so we wanted to bring that light out to you through this show by bringing people like Mark on to share with you exactly what you said, Mary, what they do and all the good. So with that, we're going to go right into talking to Mark. So
Who's
Mark,
our friend from Rotary.
Yes.
That's right.
We're going to talk about Rotary too. Well, should we start with that since you brought that up, or just bring it up? Okay, so Mark and Mary and I, all three of us are in the Brockton Rotary Club. And Mark can explain a little bit about what Rotary's all about, because we're always looking for new people to join us on the mission.
Yeah, sure. Rotary is a lot of fun, and I think that's one of the biggest things right off the bat is we have a good time at our club.
We sure do.
And I've had the pleasure of being a Rotarian for years now, and I've been involved with a few different clubs. The thing about Rotary is it's a service organization, and it comes down to Rotary's motto, which is service above self. And I think that that's one of the things that really drew me to Rotary in the first place, is that it's not just about me, it's not about what I'm looking for and what I want to gain, but it's how I can serve and how I can better our community, how we can better the world. And so Rotary's made up of business leaders and business owners and community leaders, people who care and are in a position to do something to help make things better. And so we meet we network, we talk about what's going on, and through our gathering, through our activities, through the community service that we do, we hope to make Brockton a better place in whatever small ways we can. And then by extension, through Rotary International, we want to make the world a better place.
Right.
And that's something that it's just nice to be fun. It's fun to be part of
Right.
an organization that's doing good things all over the world. I guess one of the biggest projects that Rotary has been involved in is that we're a leading partner on ending polio internationally.
Right.
It's Rotary, it's the World Health Organization, and it's the Gates Foundation that are the three lead organizations that have been working now for quite a long time to end polio, and we're this close.
That's great. Excellent.
What I find interesting too is the family component in Rotary, because families are welcome. When we have events, they want you to bring your immediate families to the events too. So I almost wish I had joined 10 years ago, because for me in this area, I didn't really have my immediate close family around. And it would have been nice to have had the Rotary as an extension. So I think that that's a neat part of Rotary that's kind of almost like a secret until you get into it, and then you realize that that aspect is there.
Yeah, we had some good meetings this summer where a bunch of us had brought our kids in.
Yes, we did. Yes, absolutely. And you know, my husband and son went to the wiffle ball tournament and the pancake breakfast. I brought my son. So there's always, that's a good point. It's nice to do things and then also show, like, your son, my son, your daughter, this is what you do, you give back. I think it's a good example for our children too. Yeah, I really love Rotary. It's so much fun, and it is great to have fun while giving back. So thanks for that little description of what it is.
Yeah, well, we're three Rotarians sitting together. We have to
Yeah.
plug it a little bit,
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And we meet at the Thorny Lee Clubhouse on Thursdays at 12:15. So if you have any interest in learning more about Rotary, you can contact one of us through Facebook, and we'll give you that information, or you can even just show up to a meeting Thursdays at the Thorny Lee Golf Club, and that's on Torrey Street in Brockton, 12:15. Love to see you there. Okay, so Mark, tell us a little bit about, you work for the Salvation Army, which, again, a lot of people are familiar with the Salvation Army, but maybe don't know the background of all that goes into the work that you do. So why don't you tell us about your position and what you do for work?
And even your suit, because I think sometimes people don't understand the clothing.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
So you look very professional, so talk about your
Sure.
suit.
We'll find a starting place here. What most people don't know about the Salvation Army, you know, they're aware of our thrift stores, and they know the bell ringing at Christmas time, and people generally have an idea that the Salvation Army is doing good. So that's usually where most people start out, with an understanding of the Salvation Army. But what they don't know, and we don't always communicate well, is that the Salvation Army is both a social service organization and a church. And so in my position as an officer of the Salvation Army, I'm both social worker and administrator, and I'm an ordained minister and pastor. And we function kind of as our own denomination within Protestant Christian Church. And so that's something that really came out of the Salvation Army's beginnings. We've been around for 152 years now.
Okay.
And it started in London, England, with a Methodist minister who was reaching out to people in the poorest parts of London at the time. Back then, you didn't have all the social safety nets and support that we do today. And so he was moved with such great compassion for people who were suffering and neglected and really had nothing. And so he began by preaching, and then quickly realized that preaching alone wasn't going to do any good, that these people needed real help. And the Salvation Army came out of that desire to help. And so our mission is to meet human needs in the name of Jesus Christ without discrimination. So everything that we do for people, we do not because we want to proselytize, not because we want to force religion down anybody's throat or anything like that. Right. But what we want to do is help people because we think that that's what the love of Christ compels us to do. Wow. You know, because Christ loves us. You know, we think, you know, it loves us as in everybody, because Christ loves the world. we want to help. We want to relieve suffering. We want to meet needs. We want to help people rise up and out of their circumstances. And so everything that the Salvation Army does today is driven by that mission, that focus of we're going to do whatever we can to help. And we're working in, I think we're in 128 countries around the world now. And wherever we are, it's finding ways to meet the local needs, finding ways to help people at that point of need. So.
I never knew that about the church.
I was just thinking the
part.
same thing. Never.
Right.
Ever.
Because growing up, I grew up in Saugus. There was no Salvation Army church.
Right.
No.
But there is one in Brockton, correct?
Yes, there is.
And there's a congregation and people attend, and
Yes.
there's a mass.
What do you call
it?
There's a church service. Yeah,
A service,
And that's over on Center Street. That's the Salvation Army's core and community center. And that's a normal church with Sunday services and youth activities. But as well, that's the location where they're doing food pantry and general assistance from there as well. So we have those in communities all over the country, and that's kind of the basic unit for the Salvation Army. This combined mission of introducing people to God and helping people in any way that we can. So the uniform thing and all the military terminology kind of is something that came out of that 19th century time as well. Where they were mobilized in such a way. And you had William Booth, who founded the organization, was originally the general superintendent. Well, people just started calling him the general, and they were talking about this volunteer army of people who were working, and he's like, well, volunteer army isn't quite the thing. I think that we're an army of salvation. We're a Salvation Army. And they said, oh, that's a great idea. And so people started getting these uniforms, and we started using, calling our ministers officers instead of pastors, and all of these things that just kind of fit with that motif. And it was a way to mobilize a large group of people to go out and do this mission, and it's something that over 150 years has become recognizable and stands out, and it's fun. It's fun. So I'm a captain.
So this is a captain with the two stars.
That's right. 2 stars is captain. Yes.
This is also fascinating because I had no clue about this. This is what I mean. I was talking to my husband about it, and he had no idea either about the back. So tell us about your family being involved too, how you became...
Right. So for me, it's been something of a family business. My parents are officers in the Salvation Army. They're actually the commanders for the Salvation Army's work in the greater Philadelphia area. And so I grew up as part of this organization, and I grew up participating and really learning. And I guess that what that did for me is helped me to see a wide variety of people in our society. It awakened me to the great need that exists, and to the ways that we can make a difference and help to meet that need. That was always part of our family, is that we were going to be part of helping. We were going to be part of serving. We were going to be, as children, volunteering, with my parents. But that's something that's just always been part of the landscape for me. And even if we trace up my mother's side of the family, my family's been involved with the Salvation Army for 7 generations since practically the very beginning.
Wow.
And
so you're English, I take it.
My mom's end of the family, they immigrated from Yorkshire. My dad's end of the family is a Portuguese, and that's
Ferreira,
that's
right.
But even that end of things, my grandfather, Bud Ferreira, Arthur Ferreira, grew up in the slums of Boston, in the immigrant slums of Boston during the Great Depression, but he went to the Salvation Army as a kid. And he found good things to do, positive activities through the Salvation Army, and he wound up becoming an officer in the Salvation Army himself. And that kind of changed the whole trajectory of the family.
So he gave back.
I mean, the family was never the same, and it was the opportunity that the Salvation Army gave him as a kid to do something more with his life than just be a sailor like his father was before, And so, not that there's anything wrong with being a sailor, but but it gave my grandfather a much different life and a much different experience, and I'm glad for that. And that's a lot of what we do today is we try to make opportunities available to children and to people in need, to be able to do something different, to be able to experience something better, to be able to grasp a larger idea that will help them to continue to rise and grow.
That. Yeah, I love that.
Those are great words. To grasp, how did you say it? Grasp a greater idea?
Sure, yeah.
You know, because that's like expansion of consciousness, like different terminology.
Right.
It all means the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to think out of the box and to have a different vision.
Right.
You know?
Well, I mean, that's what happens with poverty, with particularly multi-generational poverty. You know, a child in that environment thinks that they'll never be able to amount to more than their family has already been. And it takes an expansion of mind. It takes a broadening for that child to see that, wait, no, there's more, and that's really what we want in terms of the American dream, right?
Absolutely.
You know, we want to be able to do better than the last generation. We want to be able to achieve more.
Because you do see that people get locked in.
Right.
And so how do you help them get out of it or get beyond it?
Right. Well, and that's the puzzle, and that's the thing that our society faces, that there has to be a way for young people to see that they can do more. Now, so in the Salvation Army, you know, some of the opportunities that we have for kids involve music lessons and recreational activities. We have character building programs, you know, that are much in line with what other organizations are doing. So we like to think that we stand alongside groups like the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA and these fantastic groups that are doing good work in children's lives and just giving an opportunity one kid at a time. So that's I think is some of the most important work we do. Although it's not really what I'm involved in these days.
Right. What are you mainly doing now?
So my wife and I are in charge of the Salvation Army's Adult Rehabilitation Center here in Brockton, and we used to do more of that community center work, but several years ago we made the choice to switch to more specialized work, working with people who are struggling with drug and alcohol addiction. And
Let's give a shout out to Elizabeth Ferreira too. She's also a Rotarian and we love her. So is that how you met? Through the Salvation Army?
Yeah, no, okay. we met when Elizabeth was completing the Salvation Army's seminary, and because we're ministers, right. and I was getting ready to go in, and we met at that time, connected very quickly, knew that it was meant to be.
That's a good story. So
it's amazing how that all happens.
Yeah.
So much involved in this whole, you know, part for you, that your whole life, like that's all connected. I think that's awesome. So in Brockton, you do the rehabilitation work there. It's centered right in Brockton. Yeah, that's huge.
So on North Main Street is our facility. We have 50 spaces for men in the program, and we also have alumni housing, transitional housing available for them as well beyond that. But here's a place where we have a completely free program. It's long-term residential rehab, okay, which means that means that it takes 6 to 12 months to go through our program. You know, this is not a 28-day. This is not just a quick, you know, detox, get cleaned up and get out. The idea behind our program is to allow people to have the space and the time and the resources to work through a wide variety of life problems, you know. And
because it's a process and it takes time.
Well, it really does.
When you said long term, my brain went to 3 to 6 years.
Oh, right.
You know, so your long term is 6 to 12 months, you said.
Yeah, in rehab, that's considered a long-term residential program, and even beyond that, a guy could stay in our transitional housing and remain plugged into the program for even a year beyond that initial year.
Okay, good.
So
that's great.
So that gives options, and during that time, we're working on addiction, we're working on employment, we're working on job skills, we're working on the basic, you know, patterns and habits of life that are needed to be stable and to succeed. So we try to give them the best shot that they're going to have to remake sometimes decades worth of destructive habits and a destructive way of life. And to be able to say, okay, we're going to set a new pattern, we're going to have a new tone, a new way to approach everything, and that takes a lot of time, that takes a lot of care and effort. And
is it just you and Elizabeth, or do you have a team?
No, we have an entire staff.
Right.
Okay.
So we have counselors and residence assistants, you know, and part of our program, you know, we also run the thrift stores for Southeast Massachusetts. Those are all attached to our rehabilitation center, and so the warehouse for all of that is on site, and the participants in our program, they do work as part of their therapy, you know, and learn to work a 40-hour work week and how to be accountable to a job and a supervisor.
Nice.
And so their work supports
eye-to-eye
the
contact with the customers.
Yeah, all of those things that are really vital.
How do people come to you? How do you, if someone's in addiction, and how do they get to you?
Well, because we're not a medical program, we're not detoxing at our facility. So our number one referral source is from detoxes and hospitals and shorter programs in the area.
Okay.
So that's one of the things for us. Because we're not medically supervising, we want to make sure that they are safe and that they're not going to go into any kind of a dangerous withdrawal. So we get a lot of referrals directly from other facilities, but we do take people who come in straight off the street and are looking for a place. But of course, if they're in need of detox, we're going to refer them to a medical facility first. So that's but the other thing that's important to note is that our program is free.
Wow.
We don't take anybody's insurance. You know,
Wow.
there's not a program fee.
Wow.
It's completely free, and especially in
That's
this day
amazing.
and age. Yeah. Well, healthcare is getting better, but not everybody has it still.
Right.
You know,
I
not
know.
everybody can do that, and so being able to be a place that if you have nothing, you can come to us. You know, we're there for those who have nowhere else to turn. We're going to be there every time.
I think you're going to make me cry. That's so nice. I mean, I didn't know all that went behind the scenes with all of that. I had no idea. So that's amazing work that they do, that you do. I know when we meet you and talk to you, it's like anyone could tell you their life story. And you have that way about you, that energy. So that fits right into the work that you do. If somebody is struggling, where is a place that you can recommend that they go? Not saying coming into your treatment facility or that whole long-term, but where is the address of the church again if somebody needed to just come to see, you know, a day at your church or something?
Sure. Well, the church is on Center Street, and forgive me for not remembering the number right off the top of my head, but it's on Center Street in Brockton, and Lieutenants Bram and Jana Applin lead that part of the work. And of course, shout out to Bram, he's also a Rotarian.
He is, yes.
But so that's there, and help is available there. You know, for general information about our rehabilitation services, you know, you can go to satruck.org or call 800-SA-TRUCK, and they can even connect you to our local. But our local number is 508-586-1187, and we're happy to talk about what we're doing. We're happy to provide information and help to connect people with resources. You know, it's an important work. And
Definitely.
And just if I can
it.
plug just a little further,
of course.
because it's free, right? And so it's all funded by our thrift store sales.
Oh, that's what I was thinking in my mind. Okay,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
That's,
Right. So
that's
so
great.
that's where
the
that
public
connection
needs
comes
to
in.
bring things into the.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what makes it work. That's what makes it possible for us to continue to do what we do.
So can we just bring things to the Brockton?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. And we've got donation boxes all over the place, but
Right.
donations can be dropped off at the thrift store, at our facility on North Main, or over at Center Street. We can receive anywhere, and all of that. All of the proceeds from the thrift stores goes to support this program that we're running, and to support the larger Salvation Army work as a whole. So that's how it comes together. It's the thrift stores.
That's
Okay,
great.
now
That's really
I
good.
want to bring this up because we've just had all this devastation in Texas and in Florida and Georgia, and oh my gosh, it's been everywhere. And I think Salvation Army, all these other places are going to be inundated with people needing help.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's
can you
absolutely
talk
true.
about that for a minute? Because I'm sure you've been in touch with maybe,
Yeah,
you
no,
know, Salvation
some
Army,
of
the
my
higher-ups
colleagues,
and-
right, no, some of my colleagues are down in Florida and in Texas and on the islands as we speak, serving people in need. Actually, some local folks from Massachusetts, the Corps officer from New Bedford, Major Gil Parkhurst, has been down in Florida for, I think, a week or so now, and he's got a few weeks he's going to be down there helping to coordinate emergency crews. But in times
Wow.
of disaster, we're one of the first relief agencies to the scene. We're there to support the first responders and to support the victims. So we're always, us and the Red Cross are usually the first ones there, and we're some of the last ones to leave. You know, we'll continue to provide ongoing support and services to people whose lives have been impacted by that. So there is a big effort for us to raise funds for that at the moment. Since we're talking about donated goods and stuff, though, I should mention it's something people often think about in times of disaster. They want to gather up the old stuff and send it down there. In disaster relief, that becomes what's known as the second disaster.
Right.
Interesting.
I've just read a few articles about
Right,
this,
right.
so
Yeah.
continue. Go right
Explain.
ahead.
Yeah.
Well, it's incredible, and I've worked in disaster relief quite a lot myself in the Salvation Army, and it's something that all relief organizations have had to battle and had to figure out, and how to communicate with the public about it is the biggest problem.
Right.
Because people want to give, but when supplies are not asked for or are not the things that are the specific needs, and they get sent to disaster areas, and this happens every time. You know, we and others get inundated with stuff and stuff and stuff. We actually have to divert resources, human resources, from aiding people to managing the logistics of all of those things.
Right.
That it's not what we asked for, or we didn't ask for anything at all. It's not what's actually needed there. You know, we've had horror stories of winter coats being sent to Haiti after the earthquake. Well, what were they going to do with winter coats?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
and so, but even something simple like bottled water. Can we use bottled water? Of course, we could use bottled water, but nobody wants to pay the cost of transporting it.
Right.
And the Salvation Army and other groups have arrangements worked out with corporations who will often donate those things or offer a greatly reduced purchase price to us
So
locally.
is money the best?
Money is the best.
Okay.
And the great thing for the Salvation Army, and this goes back to like how the thrift stores and all that work, the great thing for us is that if you designate, you know, say you donate $100 to Hurricane Irma relief, we're not going to take an administrative fee out of that. We're going
Right.
to take that entire $100 and put it towards the hurricane relief.
Okay.
We'll eat the administrative cost out of our other operating funds, so that 100% of what is designated for a disaster will go towards that disaster relief. Not every organization structures it that way. We're able to do that because of our other fundraising, because of the thrift stores, because of the fundraising at Christmas time, because of all the ongoing fundraising we're doing. We're able to absorb some of the administrative costs so that we can handle designated funds in a very special and sacred way. We think that's an important trust
Yeah.
that people put in us. That they want to see that spent for the purpose that they've asked,
Right.
and we will do everything in our power to honor that.
That's great.
That's great. Yeah, excellent. Well, I feel like we learned a lot today, Mary. Do you?
Yes.
On this, all about the Salvation Army. It's really been enlightening. Is there anything else you want to add, Mark, about it, or anything else? Any last words you'd like to leave before we touch on your personal journey, real quick?
Oh, I forgot we were going to talk about that too. You know, it's what I see the Salvation Army. Our purpose is to give hope. You know, there are a lot of people doing great work out there. I like to think that we do good work for people, but I think that the most important thing that we can do is provide hope by being a group of people who are out there, you know, rolling up our sleeves and doing what needs to be done. And for the people who are in the midst of desperate circumstances, for people who are struggling, it's so important for them to know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
That somebody cares, somebody will come alongside them and be with them in the midst of that, and we want to be there to do that.
That's wonderful. So true. We all need to know that at some level. So that's huge. Thank you for that. I hope anybody who might need that message today is listening and knows where you can go and that you're never alone. So, Mark, I want to touch on your personal journey because Mary and I have kind of witnessed it, and we have been very much impressed by you. So Mark has lost a great amount of weight. Do you want to talk about that just real quick, how that happened for you?
Sure. I mean, as I'm sitting in this chair, right? Well, you guys know, as we sat down, I said, wow, I can fit in this chair, which I couldn't have very well.
So he's grateful for chairs.
That's right,
Yes,
right, for being able to fit
absolutely.
in the chair. But no, I've lost over 150 pounds in the last 13 or 14 months.
Huge.
And that's, yeah, I mean, it was long overdue. And I've got a long way to go. I've got a lot more weight that I want to lose.
But you did the 90, was it 95 on your own?
I did 95, not on my own though, with the support of my dietitian
Right.
and my doctors
Right.
and all of this accountability. But yeah, I did 95, I lost 95 pounds. And then almost exactly 3 months ago, I had bariatric surgery. I had the gastric bypass. Performed by Dr. Anthony McClooney, who, just top-notch guy. And that's helped to push my journey even further along, the next step in this adventure for being healthier.
Yeah,
So.
but you look amazing and you feel good. Don't
I
you
feel
great
I
at this
I
point?
feel like $1 million. It's I haven't been this size since I was a teenager, and so
That's
it's
exciting.
And did I hear you bought a motorcycle?
Well, I got a second motorcycle, yeah.
But were you having trouble riding the motorcycle when you were real heavy?
Well, it did, balance got a little bit tougher as I was bigger. So yeah, there's a big difference in riding
Yeah.
with the weight off. I can take the corners a lot better and not feel like I'm going to lose
Tip.
traction.
Right, that's awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I wanted to just touch on that because I feel like sometimes people also get lost in that if they feel like they can't do anything about where they're at, or I know I've struggled with 20 pounds at times and trying to get the mindset for that. So to see you doing something so amazing at like 150 pounds as a person, even two kids or whatever, however you want to look at it. So I find that to be very, very inspiring.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. Okay, so anything else you want to include, Mary or
I'm
Mark?
good.
Anything you want to say today?
Good. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah,
I feel
that's
good. This has been fun.
Good, awesome. We're glad. Okay, so that's it for our show today, and thank you again for joining us. You know where you can go if you need any assistance with what Mark talked about with the Salvation Army, and you can reach us through our Facebook page, The Good View, through my page, Joanne Young, Dr. Mary Connors, and Mark Ferreira. So please look for us if you need any further assistance or just want to give us a shout out on Facebook. Thank you. Have a great day. Until next time.
Adios.
Bye-bye.